Hey, what's going on, you guys? This is Seth Emery here. Finance is what you're here for. Finance is what I love to talk about. So let's get into a video. You've saved up your first $1,000 and you want to know what you should do with it. Alright, the first thing I'm going to suggest that you guys do with $1,000 is not fun, it's not exciting, but it's really necessary and it's a really responsible decision to put it into an emergency fund so that if something happens unexpected, like if you lose your job or if something needs repaired like your car, you won't have to use a credit card or try to find money in a way that's going to stress you out. In this emergency fund, now $1,000 probably isn't going to cover this expense, but I recommend 3 to 6 months of living expenses, and that covers food, utilities, housing. So this $1,000 is going to go towards building that emergency fund. It probably won't complete it unless you have an extremely low cost of living. In that case, props to you. I'm jealous. Let's get on to the next thing that's a little bit more fun. Alright, you have your emergency fund completed. If something were to happen, it wouldn't be convenient, you would hate it, but you'd be ready for it, and that's a really great feeling. The next thing that you could do with $1,000 would be to contribute it to a Roth IRA or a 401k account. Contributing $1,000 to a retirement account is another very responsible decision that isn't a whole lot of fun because you won't get to touch that money until you're 59 and a half years old at the earliest. But it's a great decision because in a lot of cases, your employer will match your contributions up to a certain percentage of your annual pay. So you can make a 2x return on whatever you contribute instantly. Alright guys, before we get into the third thing that you can do with $1,000, I just want to ask you guys to like this video if you're enjoying it, comment down below if you have anything that you would suggest you would do with $1,000, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel because this is a new channel and I want you guys to be here with me on this journey. Alright, the third thing I would suggest you do with $1,000 is either put it into a savings account or a certificate of deposit account. Savings accounts and certificates of deposit accounts are just places where you can put your money and you'll just collect interest on that money. The most common places to do this are traditional financial institutions like banks. So I've pulled up Ally Bank's website here so we can go over some of the yields that you can get for a high yield savings account and a high yield certificate of deposit account. We'll start with the savings account. This is money that you just put into an account. You can withdraw at any time, but you're going to collect interest for keeping your money in the account. Here we can see on Ally you can get a 0.5% interest rate on your money per year in the online savings account. Now let's check out the certificate of deposit. The difference between a certificate of deposit and a savings account is that with the certificate of deposit, your money is locked away for a predetermined length of time, and the trade-off is that you get a higher return on your investment. So as you can see here, we have the lengths of time that your money would be in the account and unable to be withdrawn, and their respective percentage yields. And you'll see that you're going to get a little bit better of a return when you put your money in there for a longer time. Alright, it's time to go over the fourth and fifth best places to put $1,000. These are the most aggressive options, and these are things that I do with my money. Okay, the fourth place I would suggest putting $1,000 is into either a mutual fund or an index fund. These are just baskets of companies, and the fund is automatically diversified, so it kind of lowers your risk, and in general these funds will return anywhere from 6% to 15% per year pretty reliably, and this is a great place to put your money. Okay, the first index fund that I would recommend specifically is VOO. It's an index fund that models the S&P 500, and the S&P 500 is a basket of 500 US companies it's usually the largest 500 U.S. companies, and it sort of tracks how well the S&P 500 does year over year. And as you can see, in the last year, we've had, a run about a 25% return actually, which is pretty ridiculous. But usually you're not going to see that. That has a lot to do with the recent pandemic. Honestly, this index fund has just done like amazing in the past. Usually you're not going to get returns like this, but what I would say that this ETF actually returns is like 10%, 15% pretty reliably. It's a great place to put your money. Okay, the next index fund that I have for you is an index fund that models the NASDAQ, which is another basket of companies. Usually the NASDAQ is really tech heavy. I think investing in tech is a really good idea. And one index fund that models the NASDAQ is QQQ, and it's right here. What you can see is in the last year we've had about an 18% return on your money, and over the last 5 years it's actually returned 209%. So I mean, most of that was from the pandemic all the way through now. Just tech stocks have been killing it, so this is another really great place to put your money. Okay, another one I have for you is an international stock index. So you can invest in index funds that are both domestic and international, or a mixture of both. This one is an international stock index fund, and you'll see here in the past year it's had a return of 23.39%. In the last 5 years it's returned about 36%. So that's another great place to put your money if you're interested in expanding your allocations of your money beyond just domestic stocks. Yeah, one thing that I definitely want to add to this video really quick is a disclaimer.
I'm not a certified financial planner or a financial advisor, and I'm not a certified financial analyst, nor am I an economist or a CPA or an accountant or a lawyer.
All right, those are some great index funds, mutual funds to put $1,000 into. Mutual funds and index funds are great because so many companies are held within that fund that if anything were to happen to one individual company, like if they went bankrupt or there was a big PR issue by the CEO or something happened causing an individual company's stock to tank considerably, that might not be reflected in the price of the index fund because there are so many other companies being held by that index fund. So it's a great way to mitigate your risk. And the fifth place I'm recommending that you put $1,000 into is into individual stocks. Okay, so investing in individual stocks is pretty risky, but it can also give you some of the greatest returns. Like for instance, if you had bought Tesla back in 2018 or 2019, you might be up like multiple 100% gains on your investment. And making picks like that is hard to do, but it's not impossible. There are some companies that time and time again just deliver great returns. One of those I consider to be Apple. I think Apple is a company that always has a competitive market advantage. They have so many patents, they offer so many products that people use every day, and they're good at what they do. So one I would recommend is Apple. I think in the last year we've had a 30% return there. In the last 5 years we've had a 400% return just in Apple, and that's like such a common stock that people might Google or be interested to buy into. I think it's never really like a terrible idea to buy Apple stock. Okay, here are like 5 other individual stocks that I would recommend buying. I think a lot of them just time and time again go up pretty consistently, and they're a great stock to buy. The first one is Google. That's under GOOG or GOOGL. In the last year it's returned 90%. In the last 5 years it's gone up 250%. Another one I'd recommend is Amazon. Amazon just always demolishing the competition in e-commerce and just consistently being a great stock in the most recent years. It's gone up 7% this year, which is actually pretty modest, and in the last 5 years it's gone up 314%. You have Microsoft, which is a competitor to Apple. In the last year they've gone up 40%, which is just fantastic, and in the last 5 years they've gone up 400%. Another company that I really like is Nvidia. Their NVDA, in the last year, they've gone up 68%, and in the last 5 years, they've gone up 1,208%. So you might be interested in putting this in your portfolio. Alright, that's going to do it for this video, guys. To recap, the first place that you could put $1,000 extra is into an emergency fund. That's going to cover 3 to 6 months of living expenses. The second place that you could put $1,000 is into your retirement account. And if you're on track to hit those contribution limits for the current year, then you could consider putting your money into the third place, which is a high yield savings account or a certificate of deposit account. But if you're feeling a little bit more aggressive, you could go with the fourth place, which is an index fund or a mutual fund. Those are just baskets of companies that model indexes, and they give you great returns year over year. And if you're feeling really aggressive, or you're feeling like you know of a company that's going to do really great this year, you could invest into the fifth place, which are individual growth stocks. So once again, I just want to thank you guys for watching this video. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and stay tuned for new videos coming out next week.